So I speak Italian, and it was one of my minors in college, but I really learned to speak Italian because of a romance. When I was 20, I went to Italy to live for 3 months with a group of American students in Florence, where we took classes and then traveled on the weekends. And this is when I really learned to speak Italian. By this time I had had probably 2 years, I think, at the university. But you know how a language is, unless you're really speaking it with people who are speaking it back to you all the time, it doesn't really get in there. You're still translating in your mind. So we had a 4-day weekend, and my roommate, this woman named Hillary, who was from Michigan and spoke no Italian at all, she and I decided to go to Rome. And this was in 1991. Yeah, that's right. And so we got out our Let's Go Italy books. Remember guidebooks before smartphones? And we picked this pension that was near the Piazza del Popolo in Rome, and it was reviewed as being clean and fairly inexpensive for college students because we were on a budget. So we made the reservation, we took the train, we went to Rome. When we arrived at the pension, the gentleman who was the proprietor met us there at the front desk, and he was this tall, dark, not handsome man. But he was so nice. And his name was Hassan, and he was Lebanese, but had lived in Rome for a while, I don't know. And he greeted us, and he was so hospitable and pleasant and welcomed us, and, oh, American students, and was so happy to see us, and I'm happy to give you any recommendations on things. And really, just very nice. And as we were setting to go out sightseeing, he said, you know, later this evening, there's going to be a party in the parlor. And he had shown us the parlor. It was this beautiful room with this old Spanish-style furniture and beautiful fresh flowers, very, very pretty. And he said, you would be welcome, because any of the guests who are staying at this pension are always welcome to join us in the parlor. So come back tonight, this parlor party is at 7 or something like that. So, okay, maybe we'll do that. We went off, we did our sightseeing, and Hillary and I decided, well, you know, what the hell, we'll go to this party. So we came back, we waltzed into the parlor in our shorts and t-shirts, which are basically, at least back then, were a big, huge sign, I'm an American student. We went into the parlor and very quickly realized that we were very out of place. Now, everybody was very nice, and Hassan shuffled us over, and he welcomed us, and he started introducing us to all these people, and everyone was a little bit dressed up, and they looked like kind of impressive, important sorts of people. And he was just introducing us, and this is Hillary and Tracey, these 2 young women from Arizona who are traveling through Italy. And everybody was very nice, but we felt very out of place. It turns out that that week, Hassan had received his doctorate in archaeology from the University of Rome. So these were his colleagues. These were archaeologists and professors from the university. And so we kind of scuttled our butts out of there after having a glass of wine or something. But the whole time he was so pleasant and just acted like we deserved to be there as much as anyone. And this was what he was like for the whole 4 days that we were there. And he gave us recommendations on take this bus and not that one, and go to this cappuccino place. And he was really very wonderful and very pleasant. So when Hillary and I returned to Florence, I told some of the other students on a trip that we had stayed at this place. They were planning to go to Rome that coming weekend. And I said, oh, this gentleman was so nice, it was very affordable, and easy for bus lines. And so they went ahead and they stayed there. Well, when they came back after the weekend, what I didn't realize is that this group of students were born kind of with silver spoons in their mouth, which I wasn't. And there was one woman who was from Northern California named Kelly. Kelly is the only person that I have ever met who literally spoke like a Valley girl. And she comes up to me and she says, oh my God, that pension was a pit. And I said, it was clean, it wasn't fancy. She's like, the towels didn't even match. And I said, but they were clean, and wasn't that guy nice? And she goes, oh yeah, that guy, he's weird. And I said, he was totally pleasant to us. She goes, I think he has a crush on you. And I said, why? And this is the way she talked all the time. She'd say things like, oh, we need to go pound a cap, which meant drink a cappuccino. Oh, did you totally blow chow? Did you throw up? I think Tony has a crush on you. And I said, why do you think that? She said, because we told him we knew you and he gave us a discount. And I said, oh, and she said, you know that little note that you wrote him? I gave it to him, he gave us another discount. Well, and I'm sorry that they didn't enjoy the experience the way that I did, whatever. A few days later, I received in the mail this photograph. And you probably can't see it very well, but it's a very pretty picture of the sun kind of peeking through a silhouette of the trees and leaves. And it was from Hassan. And the writing on the back is in Italian, so I've translated it for you, and this is what it says. As this beam of light breaks through the shadows, so our friendship was born. With the expectation of a new light, I send my sincere greetings. I look forward to seeing you and treating you with great respect and passion. My greetings also to your friend. Call me when you get my note. See you soon, Hassan. Now this was because in the course of those 4 days down there, I had ended up in many conversations with him and told him that I was an anthropology student. As it happened, I had just finished a classical Roman art and archaeology class. And so I knew all this stuff about Roman architecture and Roman archaeology, and I really wanted to go to Pompeii. And so Hassan had said to me, well, you should come back some weekend because a lot of my research was in Pompeii, and I'll take you down there and we'll see it together. I thought, oh, that sounds like a great idea. It's like a guided tour with a professor of archaeology from the University of Rome. So he sent me this letter. Now, I have to remind you, at the time, I really was not speaking Italian very well. I kind of got it, but really not fluent at all. So I took it to my professor and I had her read it. And she read it. She smiled and she said, what you don't understand, Tracey, is how beautifully this is written. It's very poetic. And I said, oh, well, that's very nice. And she said, I think he has feelings for you. And I said, well, that's odd. I didn't say anything about that. And she said, so what are you planning to do? And I explained about this trip to go to Pompeii with him. And she said, just remember, even though he is a professor, an archaeologist, he is still a man. So I went with yet another girlfriend from this trip, Nicole, who also spoke no Italian at all. We went down on another weekend because I wanted to see Pompeii. And Hassan greeted us with open arms. Hassan, incidentally, is Lebanese. He had moved to Paris, speaking nothing but Arabic, and learned French in 6 weeks, and did his initial schooling there, and then moved to Rome, and where he learned Italian very quickly as well. So he spoke 3 languages. So we went to Pompeii, and it was a great trip because I got to see all of this stuff that I had just studied with this guy who that's what he did for a living. And I could impress the hell out of him by saying, oh, opus incertum, and oh, the fillet of the mysteries with the whip. And he was like, oh, how do you know all this stuff? And I said, well, I just studied it. And he just thought that was just great that I knew all this stuff. In the meantime, Nicole spoke no Italian at all. So on the 3-hour train trip down there and the 3 hours back, I was translating for them. And there was literally a moment on the train back to Rome where I realized, oh my God, I'm really actually speaking in Italian. I'm not translating anymore. My brain is doing it on its own. It's just coming out. And it was really weird because I truly had an actual moment when I realized I knew that language because I was translating for these 2 people. So we arrived back in Rome. Nicole was exhausted. And he said, well, come up. I want to show you my apartment and something very special. We went up to the apartment. We're not there yet. He gets out these books, these really nice art books with like full color glossies and these plates of these beautiful paintings. He opens them and he shows us these gorgeous paintings, oil paintings, and he points to the name, and it's his name, Hassan Badawi. And I thought, oh God, this guy is pulling my leg. He's got a cousin or something who drew these things. And I said, oh, you're teasing us. But these are beautiful drawings. You didn't draw those. He reaches under his bed and pulls out the canvases. Unrolls them there. These huge original oil paintings. And I'm looking at the original, and there it is in the book. So not only is he a brilliant archaeologist, but he's an artist too. And let me tell you, if there's one thing I go for, it's an artistic nerd. Nicole was exhausted. She decided to go to bed, and she says to me before she leaves, don't do anything stupid. He might rape you. I said, Nicole, he's not going to rape me. So he and I went to the bar. dusk in Rome, which was probably about 9 o'clock at night. We went out onto this little balcony, and you can see the silhouettes of all these beautiful Italian buildings, and there's these swallows dipping. I mean, it was like a movie. And then this guy starts saying these beautiful things to me, which now I can understand, right? And he's telling me all these beautiful things in this poetic language, and I thought, this is like unreal. And he starts kissing me and touching my cheek, and it was so romantic, just like a movie. Until Nicole walked around the corner and went, "Tracey!" So I settled on over her, and she goes, "What the hell is the matter with you?" And I said, "What the hell is the matter with you? Freaking go to bed." And she said, "You're being ridiculous. Don't you know how risky you're going to be?" Well, I knew that, but he seemed perfectly harmless. He was being very nice to me. And so I said, "Look, I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself. This pension is small, and I can shout loud, so you can come help me if I start screaming." She leaves, and he says, "Let me show you the most beautiful view in Rome." So we go up this staircase and onto the roof. And it's true, I had a 360-degree view of the Roman sunset with the swallows dipping. You could see the Vatican. It was awesome. But as soon as we got up on that rooftop, that's when I realized maybe he really did have that idea, because he had set up this nice little bed, a small table that had a bottle of wine and some glasses, and a candle. And we started kissing. He was very romantic. He started running his hands down my neck, touching my breasts. And what you guys need to know is I was a 20-year-old virgin. So I suddenly became very, very nervous. And I said, "Hassan, I don't want you to touch me on my breasts. That makes me very uncomfortable." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because it's such a sexual part of the body, and I don't feel like I'm ready to do that." And he said, "But it's no different than the beauty of your cheek, or your shoulder, or your breast. It's all a part of you, and it's all beautiful." Seriously, in Italian. Yeah, this 42-year-old wants to go back and do it differently. And I said, "Well, that's so sweet of you." And he said, "Really, I would like to make love with you tonight." And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't want to do that." He said, "Why? It's a beautiful night. The temperature is beautiful. We have a wonderful friendship. It's been a wonderful day, and I can make love with you." And I said, "No, I really am not ready for that." And he stopped all of a sudden. And he kind of went back a little bit, and he said, "Are you a virgin?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, you're a virgin! Now I understand." And for the rest of my time there, he was a perfect gentleman. He didn't touch me anywhere I didn't want to be touched. He didn't pressure me to do anything I didn't want to do. He was absolutely a complete gentleman, and it is such a great memory for my life. And now I can say that truly, in that experience, I learned to speak Italian, and I learned something about myself, and I experienced the joy, the utter joy of being lost in translation.